All right, we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we're talking about something that's a pretty big deal for crypto, okay? We're talking about the Audius partnership with TikTok, actually integrating a live music streaming library into this major social media network, okay? We're talking about that. We'll look at a lot of other news updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. We're going to look at some cryptocurrency prices, kind of tell you what I think is going on in the market right now, answer some of your questions, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to be financial advice, and there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below. Just ignore them. I'll never give you my phone number or ask you to invest with me. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Automatic Beats, Culture Highs, Latricia, Anthony, Dark Knot, Rodrigo, Sid, Oscar, Jadine, Allison, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. So let me pull up the story on my screen here. So TikTok picks streaming service Audius to power new sounds library. All right, so of course we've seen the price of the Audius token rise quite a bit over the past day or so. We've also seen the Solana native token rise over the past several days or so. So let's just look at the high-level bullet points here. So Audius is a music streaming platform based on Ethereum and Solana blockchains, and it's partnering with TikTok on the video sharing app's new TikTok Sounds library. Okay, so the partnership is the first of its kind for TikTok and aims to streamline TikTok's current music upload selection process. So Audius users are now able to simply upload tracks and share them to TikTok, which Audius's founder says takes easily less than a minute. All right, so let's talk about why this is such a big deal. So first of all, let's look at both parties involved. TikTok, one of the fastest growing social media apps out there. It's got I don't have the user count off the top of my head, but it's pretty big, right? And then you have Audius, which is this decentralized, Web3 based music streaming service. All right, powered by Ethereum and is also expanded to Solana recently. Okay, so the reason it's such a big deal is because number one, you've got a major social media app like this actually integrating a crypto project into it. This is the first of its kind, and it's big for the Web3 economy for creators, which is basically who Audius is serving in this case. It's big for Web3 in social media. We've talked about that a ton on this channel, how I think that, social media moving more towards a Web3 paradigm is going to be a big part of crypto in the future. So let's kind of break both of those things down. So first of all, this is going to be a huge. Well, let's talk about what this feature actually does. So right now, basically, you can get inside of Audius and you can share your track to TikTok, and then it gets embedded into the video. That's what it looks like here on the surface. And so what's the big opportunity here? So there's a massive opportunity for Web3 creators to get in here and basically be a part of this sounds library and get the chance at their song going viral on a social media app like this. Because basically if TikTok has this sounds library where they're embedding songs in new videos, and then you have this new service, or it's not new, but new on the grand scheme of things, Audius, that's trying to build up, the repertoire library of options that they can choose to embed in their videos. It's going to be a massive incentive for creators to jump on this train and actually, build up the Audius collection, because there's a huge carrot dangled in front of them, which is you have a chance at your song going viral in somebody's TikTok video. All right, it's massive exposure for the artists. So the incentives in play here are big. The fact that we're seeing this convergence of Web3 based, music streaming with mainstream social media is major. Okay, so there's a couple more things in the article here I want to call out. So they've also talked about their creator fund, which is going to attract new artists to the platform. And another big shift here is how they're working on monetizing the content itself. That's a major shift in how Audius is working in the first place. So basically, instead of where you're monetizing the music directly, extracting from the creators, it gives the creators the ability to own part of that, ecosystem, which is a huge paradigm shift for artists in general. So of course we've seen, like I said, Audius sort of explode in value over the past couple of days. We've seen Solana native token reach its all-time high again. Lots of things are turning around the crypto space. I've talked about this in multiple live streams. We mentioned it yesterday in the video. Things are really starting to heat back up for crypto. I think things are going to start getting crazy pretty soon. They already are, especially in NFT world. we might be at the top for NFTs soon. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so let's look at a couple of things that happened in the space since yesterday. We'll, of course, check on the crypto markets here momentarily. But speaking of crypto social media, talk about the conversions here of Audius into, TikTok. We do, and I've talked about, kind of inside of that I do see Web3 and social media being a pretty big deal down the road. We have a couple updates on, existing social media outlets that are moving in a Web3 direction. So we talked about Twitter before. I made a video about Web3 and social media a while back. How Aave is throwing their name in the hat to building a decentralized social media protocol. One of the first places that they're trying to experiment with this is building a decentralized, Twitter. But guess who's also trying to build a decentralized Twitter? Twitter. So, basically, I saw this update, come around yesterday, talking about that they're going to lead the Blue Sky project. So this is an initiative started by Twitter to decentralize social media. All right. So Blue Sky is a name that you want to keep inside your head, for the future. Facebook's been talking about for years now, since 2019, I believe it's 2019, how they want to launch their, DM coin, or initially it was Facebook Libra, to power their ecosystem. So Libra, and DM are names you want to keep in your mind. So Blue Sky is a name that you want to keep in your mind, because this is, Twitter's initiative at creating a decentralized social media. Okay. So the unique thing about Twitter and Blue Sky is that it's definitely not going to be integrated with, the Ethereum ecosystem or stuff like that. Jack Dorsey has long time been exclusive to the Bitcoin ecosystem. Okay. So I would expect something like Blue Sky to probably be centered around Bitcoin, at least initially. We might see things change over time, but definitely keep an eye out for that. So speaking of Facebook DM, previously Facebook Libra, we saw some updates on that front as well. So basically, Novi, the crypto unit of Facebook, is looking to strike a third-party stablecoin partnership as uncertainty hangs over DM and its U.S. dollar coin. So 4 months ago, the project said Silvergate would be its exclusive issuer, but sources say DM hits regulatory headwinds. All right. So basically, Novi has held conversations with both Circle and Paxos as it explores options outside of DM. So the issue here, is, Facebook has been talking for a long time about creating their own cryptocurrency that can power their ecosystem. They've run into pretty big regulatory hurdles doing this. Okay, because I think there's just so many existing laws that are going to prevent them from doing this without facing some pretty serious legal action. And I think I think a government naturally fears something as big as Facebook creating their own currency that could be a legitimate threat to their own. Okay, so basically this is, a currency issued by a centralized entity, all right, that has probably some degree of control by a centralized entity. A lot of people in crypto who don't like this idea either, for sure. But they're facing a lot of massive headwind here, and it looks like, one of the potential strategies that they're doing to actually integrate crypto into their ecosystem is just creating their own coin and then just bootstrapping this ecosystem, with an existing stable coin to try to maybe circumvent some of those problems. All right. And so that's what it looks like here, and they're looking at Circle, which is the organization that created USDC, and also Paxos here. So any updates on NFT projects? We can look at some NFT projects maybe towards the end of the stream. I got a couple other things I want to get through before we do that. Somebody says, who else is tired of TikTok coin? I haven't heard of TikTok coin. I do know that TikTok is basically, had to really crack down on crypto promotions. And we did see some news a while back about TikTok basically saying you can't do paid crypto promotions on their platform. People got freaked out for a little while because they were thinking that meant you couldn't be a crypto influencer or something like that on TikTok. That's not what the case is. And it clearly looks like TikTok's not just completely anti-crypto, because if they're integrating Audius streaming into their platform, then, yeah, doesn't seem like it's consistent. Okay, so let's look at, let's go ahead and check on the crypto markets. So go ahead and check on the Bitcoin price here. Of course, in my opinion, Bitcoin is still leading the market. Let's look at here. Let me share my screen here. All right. We'll just look at the Coinbase feed. All right, so Bitcoin price. We were trading at $46,000. People being a little bit freaked out over the past couple of days, thinking that things were looking a little bit bearish. I think some of the corrections that we've seen have been healthy. I've been looking at this 200-day moving average here. Basically as an important price level. Okay. I've talked about how I've really kind of flipped towards being more confidently bullish on sort of where the overall direction of the markets have been headed. All right. And as long as we maintain and hold this level area consistently, use it as support, I'll continue on with that sort of line of thinking. So we'll see. I mean, we might hit some chop. We might make some lower lows. I mean, we might be around this level. I mean, even if we broke down slightly below it, into these like low 40s or something like that, I don't think it's like a game over scenario. It's just that your confidence level kind of changes, but it doesn't change drastically. Okay. So somewhere around this area, if we start using it as support and continue to move on that way, I still maintain bullishness. So let's look at the ETH price. So ETH's still holding up pretty strong. It's a crazy line, man. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. You're trading about $3,200. Still pretty coupled to Bitcoin, in my opinion. In this case, the whole market's pretty correlated with these majors. Of course, Solana, like I said, has done pretty well. It's hit its all-time high recently, especially after this news with Audius, who is powered by Solana as well. So interesting metrics from ETH that I wanted to call out here. Let me just pull up my screen. So the balance of ETH on exchanges is essentially reaching just like all-time lows. Okay. It's dwindling like crazy. Of course, there's some interesting commentary here. Basically, institutions are accumulating ETH. Miners will be selling rigs to stack and stake ETH. EIP 1559 is working. It's burning. The merge will reduce issuance from 4.5% down to 1%. The ETH supply exchange continues to trend down. The Ethereum supply shock meeting demand shock, which is pretty crazy. I've talked about that. Essentially, we are seeing this supply of Ether Really a shock. EIP 1559 has happened. It's happened successfully. It was not a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. ETH is getting locked into staking. The deposit contract for ETH2 right now, I believe, is the #1 address that holds ETH on the entire network. Let's just look at here. So if you were look at, let's just see here. Let's just look at, yep. So if you go on Etherscan, and you look at the top account balances of Ether, this is everybody who holds ETH, and you just sort it, who has the most. The number one holder is the ETH2 deposit contract. So basically, this is people who want to stake Ethereum on the network. It's locked up. They can't withdraw this right now. So that's 5% of the entire ETH supply is locked up and can't be withdrawn until the merge happens. And this number is increasing all the time. Maybe not in percentage terms, but in real terms. So that's happening. ETH is getting burned. ETH is being locked up into DeFi. We can see ETH and smart contract continuing to trend higher and higher and higher. ETH balance on exchanges is dropping like crazy. All right, now you could say that's because it's being used in decentralized exchanges, maybe for liquidity pools or something like that. But the whole point here is less people want to sell ETH. The supply shock is there, and now the demand shock is meeting that, which is one of the reasons that the ETH price is continuing to go crazy. So, another interesting bit here is integration of Ledger integrating with Lido Finance. So I made a video on Lido a while back why I think it's a big deal for this whole space. So basically, what does Lido do? Well, Lido essentially lets you stake Ether kind of like with DeFi. So let me explain what I mean by that. If you want to stake Ether on ETH 2.0, how do you do it? Well, let's just back up and explain what is ETH 2.0 staking in the first place. So, if you're using Ethereum right now, you're using Ethereum 1.0. And so right now, basically, the consensus mechanism on Ethereum network is proof of work. So you have miners that run the network, and they basically, they mine transactions and include them into blocks, and then they, that's how people are paid to run the network. We're moving to ETH 2.0, which is proof of stake. So how do you help run the network? Well, basically, you take Ether and you lock it in, and then you earn a passive income reward for doing that. That's what staking is. You have to take ETH and you lock it into a computer, a node, to help run the network, and then you're paid passive income reward. Now, if you're going to do that natively, you have to have 32 ETH, which for a lot of people, that's kind of a deal breaker. And then you also have to run a computer that runs the entire Ethereum network all the time. So that's two really critical pieces, all right? So there are lots of services out there that help reduce this burden for a lot of people. You'll have places like Coinbase or other centralized cryptocurrency exchanges where you can basically take your ETH and stake it, and then basically that service will stake it for you on the back end, which means you don't have to run a computer, and you can stake with less than 32 Ether. Okay, you can stake with usually any amount of ETH. But now we have these services that are decentralized finance-based or DeFi-based, powered by smart contracts that lets you do the same thing, where you could stake ETH with less into a smart contract, and then they would do the staking for you, and they would charge a performance fee. But then you get this bonus benefit where with something like Lido Finance, they'll actually give you a token back that represents your staked ETH that you can go use in DeFi. So you give it ETH, they give you back a staked ETH token that represents the fact that you're using it, okay? And then you're getting the passive income reward in there, but then you could take this and go put it into another app that gives you interest, right? And gives you passive income. Or you could borrow against it, right? You can use it with leverage. You can do all this type of stuff. That's what Lido Finance does. It's pretty awesome. And now they have an integration into Ledger, all right, Ledger Live. So basically, the hardware wallets are now integrating this service so that you can do it natively. All right, so this is a pretty cool integration. So you got other questions here. So also, you know, if just talking about Audius, or not Audius, sorry, about I just read Audius in the chat talking about Lido. I mean, the other thing about there are risks associated with this, so it's awesome. Like anytime I talk about DeFi projects that are powered by smart contracts, always know that there's risks. I mean, everything in crypto is risky. So you know, there's not a sponsored like video or anything like that, or necessarily, you know, an endorsement without telling you to exercise caution before you do something like that. But this is crazy. My local bank has been talking about Ether, Bitcoin, and Doge. Awesome. Do you think we'll see any more big EIPs between now and ETH2? Probably not. It depends on what ETH2 you mean. So ETH2 has several different phases. The next major phase is the merge, where we take proof of stake and turn it on. Okay. That will likely happen, I think most likely in Q1 of 2022. Some people think it's going to happen at the end of this year. I'll be surprised if that happens. More likely Q1 2022. Could even get pushed back from there, but most likely Q1 2022. Do I know when Rocket Pool will make their official launch? Do I recommend it? So I do not know when they will make their official launch. I typically try not to endorse products in crypto that I haven't personally used, or like really know people who have created it. So I can't give an official endorsement of the project. That doesn't mean it's not going to be good. Okay. It's just I haven't used it. Would you consider rewards from Celsius as staking ETH? So I also haven't personally used Celsius, but my understanding is Celsius is basically doing crypto-based lending and borrowing. So basically, you are supplying ETH for other people to borrow on the other side. It's not really staking. Staking is basically supplying to a network so that it can be used in consensus. Some people will talk about staking their tokens in DeFi. People use that word kind of interchangeably. Like if you can stake your tokens in a DeFi app and earn other tokens. I usually don't consider that staking. I'll say that word sometimes, just because that's what other people understand. But I wouldn't talk about like what Celsius is doing as really staking your ETH, especially around ETH, because people think staking ETH is using it for proof of work or proof of stake validation. Somebody said, "Did I hear about Microsoft looking into Ethereum to combat privacy or piracy? Sorry, piracy. Combat privacy. No, I haven't heard of it. I can look it up right now, though. This is pretty good. Maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow. So, someone literally just tipped me off to this in the chat. Oh, great. Hold on. Let me see if I can turn this off. This is really annoying. Oh, I wanted to pull up an article on my... Okay, so let's see if Yahoo will let me read it. So this is literally the first time I'm hearing this. Someone mentioned it in the chat. I'm going to pull it up and see what it looks like. So Microsoft's latest anti-piracy weapon is Ethereum. So let's just get the high-level bullet points here. Technology behemoth. Okay, so Ethereum. Recent white paper released by Microsoft, the firm describes an incentive system to bolster anti-piracy campaigns based on Ethereum called Audius. Interesting. Trustless system allows piracy reporters to remain anonymous. Oh, this is actually pretty interesting. So I've thought about this in the past, where basically, we have something like WikiLeaks, or any time where you're doing any kind of like breaking reporting, where you could have immutable anonymous things reported this way, or that could be a really legitimate use case for blockchain technology, because you get that anonymity, but then you also get that immutability there, and then the trustlessness of that actual layer. So it looks like Microsoft is onto this. So the system was developed by the participation of researchers from Alibaba and Carnegie Mellon University. Yeah, very cool. So we don't have very much clarity about this. Maybe I'll do some more research on this so we can talk about it in a future stream. So it's a good question. I think there's space from another base layer chain. Okay, so it's a good question. So basically, I think I'm gonna try to clarify what this person's saying here. Basically, do we think we're gonna see like significant adoption of blockchain technology on other blockchain smart contract platforms outside of Ethereum? So basically, right now, we see a vast majority of DeFi innovation happening on top of Ethereum, a vast majority of users on top of Ethereum, vast majority of NFTs on top of Ethereum, all that type of stuff. So I want to focus on the channel. I recap this in the videos because people are like, why don't you always talk about Ethereum? Well, it's because it's where my expertise is. And so basically, Ethereum, I got into ETH back in 2017. There were lots of other ETH killers back then too that were saying the same thing that all ETH killers say today. It's never going to scale. It's never going to work. All this type of stuff. And then boom, you see basically the ecosystem we have on Ethereum absolutely flourish. So the person I guess here is asking is like, are we going to have like other blockchain ecosystems accomplish maybe the same thing, or all type of stuff? So one view is that the world is going to be multi-chain. And it depends on what you mean by that. All these other L1s that have come out that are basically trying to be smart contract platforms, I think a lot of them are here to stay. The question is, how big will they get? So, can the world be multi-chain? I think what people are usually referring to is, are we going to have a world where everybody just has this equal share of the pie, or is my L1 that I'm invested in going to like eat the entire pie and like dethrone ETH? Because a lot of other layer one blockchains, like literally the core of their marketing message is to talk about what Ethereum does poorly, not about what they do well. Okay. And so that's usually a red flag in my opinion, because one of the reasons that Ethereum does well is it's the most decentralized option out there that actually works. Okay. We're talking about how it truly works, a trustless base layer. And so when you have these other options that don't require that as much, that's fine. Okay, so I think we'll see use cases where those types of things emerge and also gain significant adoption. But if the whole point of crypto is to create a decentralized Web 3.0 that's as most decentralized as possible, okay, not perfectly, but as most decentralized as possible in terms of the base layer itself, then that's one of the best things that Ethereum has going for it, in addition to its network effect, okay? So for that reason, if we continue out those values with blockchain technology long term, then basically it already has so much momentum, so many network effects. It maintains those core ethos values of blockchain, that I see it continuing to be the leader for the midterm in those regards. Now, that being said, I think we can still see significant adoption of these other things, other use cases. People don't care about decentralization as much, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that the pie is going to be distributed evenly, or that, some other layer one just going to consume the entire pie, which I think is another outcome that people are really hopeful for. Because you don't really see this distribution happen often in the real world. Like if you look at search engine usage, technically we're in a multi-search engine world, but Google still has like 92% of all the search engine volume on top of it. Sure, is DuckDuckGo probably worth an insane amount of money? Do a lot of people use it? Yeah, but compared to what? Like compared to Google, not really. All right, so let's see here. Let's do one more questions, and we'll jump off for today. Somebody says DuckDuckGo is still my go-to. Yeah, totally. I mean, are there plenty of people who like vastly prefer DuckDuckGo over Google? Will there be lots of people in crypto, especially, who prefer DuckDuckGo over Google? Yes, there'll be a large market share. But if you look at like how deeply search engines have embedded, how deeply search engine preference has embedded itself into consumer behavior. I mean, Google is just, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Somebody says, am I going to take the Walmart job? I'm going to go work at Walmart. No. So they're talking about Walmart basically is hiring someone to lead their blockchain effort. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. If you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I actually become a blockchain master step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You'd have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.